Have you ever been in a situation where you suddenly have to speak English, but your brain is just wired to your native language? This happened to me so many times. When I was back in St. Petersburg and I walked into my TOEFL exam class, I suddenly realized that I have to speak perfect English in order to score my perfect score. Or I have a meeting with an investor, but I speak Russian to my family and suddenly I have to switch and be really confident. And what I started to realize that the top of the top skills that you can acquire as a language learner is switching from your native language to English. And once you master that, it's going to become so much easier for you to interact. Have you ever seen people who lived in the US or in an English-speaking country for 10 plus years, and when they speak their own language, they start using American words? It's not because they're trying to show off. It's just really hard for our brain to make that switch. Now today, the whole video is going to be dedicated to switching. I'm going to start with my personal story. When I was 14 and I went to study abroad, it was my first morning in England and I wake up in an English-speaking family and I come down to the kitchen and they asked me what I wanted for breakfast, but I just couldn't answer. And I remember 10 seconds of silence just because my brain thought in Russian. My brain could not process English words at 7 a.m. in the morning. And this is when I realized I have to learn how to switch. And there are 3 steps to this process. The first step, of course, you need to learn English, but we'll cover that in other videos. The second step, you need to start thinking in English. Like you need to create this mode in your brain where you start thinking in a foreign language. And number 3, you need to practice switching. So let's focus on the second and the third steps today. How can you start thinking in English? There are several exercises and habits that you can introduce to your daily life to make it easier for you. And because you will be switching from your native language, you will be practicing step number 3 at the same time. The first task is to describe objects with 2 words. And this is a very interesting task because it might sound easy, like, oh, this is an empty table, or that's a beautiful painting. But try to make it a little bit more challenging for yourself. Try to come up with 2 or 3 adjectives when you think about something. And I've recently had this situation when we're doing a campaign with a New York fashion brand. And I'm doing my own collection with them. And they asked me to describe every item with 2 or 3 adjectives. And I'm looking at this pink dress and I'm like, beautiful dress? Fashionable dress? Normally we're not used to describing objects with 2 or 3 adjectives. So practice that. Like try to come up with 3 adjectives for a pink dress. Try to come up with 3 adjectives for that beautiful painting. And come up with different words. Make it a habit. It really helps you practice new vocabulary. It really helps you with remembering words in English. Another thing that I really like to do, and I'm trying to practice that with my German. We just came back from France and Germany, so I had a chance to practice my German as well. But something that you can do is if you ask a question in your native language, try to ask it again in your head in English or in a language that you're trying to learn. That helps you think about your daily situations in English. Why is it raining again? It's June. What are you going to be wearing today? Who's your favorite YouTuber? Those types of questions, daily questions, when you practice switching from your language to another language, like back and forth, that will really help you with training your brain to do the switch. Of course, attending a speaking club or some kind of English language community is always a great idea. If you're advanced in English, take courses that are unrelated to language learning. Maybe you take a course for creators or you take a course for engineers, but make sure it has a community aspect where you have a WhatsApp group, for example, and you text each other and exchange news and thoughts on a particular subject. If you're not there yet to be able to take a course in English, take a course about English. One of the courses that has been a bestseller on our platform called LinguaTrip is a course called From Intermediate to Advanced, where in 30 days we cover majority of the topics that you need to go over to become advanced in English. We cover grammar, we cover vocabulary, we cover motivation aspect. We have amazing teachers teaching that course. I am also part of our course from intermediate to advanced, and it also has a speaking club where you can practice English with students from all over the world. If you choose the pro version of that course, you will have 4 Zoom calls for speaking practice. If you choose the standard version of that course, you will be able to practice in chats and also with your buddy, another student who will match you with based on your interests. The next batch of the course starts very soon, so please make sure to check out the link down in the description below. And let's move on to other habits. Another thing that I really enjoy doing is called mind mapping. And there is an app called Miro where you can create all of your mind maps. And I've recently met a founder, so I started using that. But it basically helps you organize your thoughts. And why not do it in English? Why not try and create a mind map of your next goal? For example, I am helping with some research at Stanford, and I was organizing articles on AI influencers. And it's just fascinating how you can create this dashboard where all of your thoughts are structured, everything is linked to an article. You can do the same if you're applying for a university in the US, for example. You can create a mind map of your process, of the universities that provide financial aid. You can create a mind map of your future career. Like, it's just a great visualization tool. So if you feel like you are a person who likes to learn language through seeing things and also likes organizing things, try that. I think it's really fascinating how different ways of organizing information work differently for different brains. Oh my God, how many times did I say different here? But try that. Maybe this is a tool that's gonna work great for you because it's working great for me. I know everyone is different, but this is something I really enjoy doing. The next exercise is called Explain It Like I'm 5. My daughter is 4 years old. She's gonna be 5 soon. And sometimes she asks me questions like, Mom, why are we traveling? Like, why do we have to go somewhere? Or like, why does grandma live in Thailand and we live here? She asks me very simple questions, yet sometimes I struggle to answer them. Like, how do I answer that? Why did I decide to move to the US? It's a long answer. Also, explaining something to a 5-year-old is a great way to check whether you understand the topic at all. What's the difference between a checking and a savings account? Why people walk more in Europe? Why are there so many highways in the US? Try explaining that to a 5-year-old in English. Like, there are 2 most challenging listening exercises in English. The first exercise is try to understand Scottish accent and try to interact with someone from Scotland or maybe Cockney in London or any English-speaking kid. It's so challenging for me because, kids, sometimes I don't understand kids in Russian because they come up with their own words, they mispronounce words, and you kind of have to guess the meaning by understanding context, by understanding some sounds. So if you ever find yourself next to a playground, I was at the playground with my daughter and, an American kid approached and asked me something. I'm like, okay, she's holding this toy. Okay, she probably means that. And I answer. Like, it's really hard, really challenging, and super cool to practice listening. The next cool exercise is associating advanced words with your daily habits. For example, if you have a coffee machine, and let's do this exercise now, you can go to ChatGPT and ask it advanced words related to a coffee machine. And ChatGPT is coming up with different words. Let's select frothing pitcher, a container used for steaming and frothing milk. Do I have it? Yes, I do. Okay, frothing pitcher. This is something I will be learning for the next 7 days. Sometimes these words stick with me for the rest of my life whenever I see the object, because my memory is mostly visual. This is why I like videos on YouTube. I'm a 100% visual person. Frothing pitcher. What else? Grind size. Fineness of coffee grounds. So take 2 or 3 words associated with an object. You can write them on a sticky note. Just remember that there are 3 words associated with this object that you're learning. And if you're similar to me, visual plus association stuff, these words are gonna stick in your head. And then remember another exercise that we touched upon in this video. Try to come up with a phrase, add an adjective, or maybe a verb. Just try to practice those words in context. Last but not least, if you're practicing journaling or any kind of note-taking, try to switch to English. That could also be very helpful. That was it from me for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video up to the very end. I hope this advice was useful and you are taking something from this video back to your life. And hopefully your English is going to become better this summer. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in my next videos. Bye.